Welcome to the Bitcoin Sage Show. I'm your host Patrick. Today is January 4th. It's approximately 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and let's get started. Lots of exciting news. Yesterday I missed this on my tabs. It was the Australian bank allegedly. That's one thing I'll throw out there. It seems like every piece of news that comes out there, I'd apply the fog of war kind of mentality, or we should call it the fog of crypto, which means that whatever news you see out there, take it with a monster grain of salt before you take it as gospel. So in this case, I think they did a good job of at least putting the word allegedly in there. So allegedly, they're freezing accounts. And I think what's happening is there's certain transfers being blocked from, exchanges like CoinJar, Coinbase, CoinSpot, to specific customers. So I'm not sure if it's entirely wide or if it's specific to, they're trying to stop certain transactions from certain exchanges because they are related to some sort of a fraud. And sometimes a bank will stop all transactions from, let's say, a Coinbase if one transaction or one transactor has been found to be fraudulent. So we'll see how this plays out. It's interesting. It hasn't been, too widely reported or affecting the market in any way since Bitcoin's been going up. This is a great report by RBC saying crypto and blockchain could unlock $10 trillion market. And they were also just mentioning about the differences and the values of the Lightning Network and the scalability behind it and the incredible value there. So that was very positive to have a big bank coming out and saying what it is saying there. So good job, RBC. Next wave of crypto investments are coming, legal and compliant ICOs. I honestly think that 2018 will be the year of the ICO, or the rebirth of the more proper ICOs. Everything I'm seeing now is like tremendous amount of KYC work that has to be done before you even get whitelisted for an ICO. So I also think there's going to be a lot more legitimate companies being kind of back-ended into ICO shells or ICOs in general because of the fact that that's pretty much what's been missing in cryptocurrency is the connection of, a real product or a real income. Once that happens, I think we'll start seeing even more tremendous results. So I think that bodes really well for 2018. Some very exciting stuff going to happen with ICOs, so keep your eyes on that. Ripple becomes the first currency after Bitcoin to surpass 100 billion. Unbelievable. I'm going to try to keep my negativity to a minimum on that one. China's central bank can tell local governments to regulate the power usage of Bitcoin miners. Again, this just kind of goes further down the road of, the Chinese government is always going to want to have their hand in the pie, and every single aspect of business within Bitcoin. So if miners are making a lot of money and they're not getting their fair share, they're going to figure out a way to do that. The next one is, it's only a matter of time before China lifts cryptocurrency ban, entrepreneur says. So Bobby Lee, COO of BTC, which closed down facing Chinese trading operations, he came on CNBC and he was talking about how this is going to restart shortly in China. So that'll be interesting news. This was an interesting one as well. So Bitcoin is neither legal or illegal in India, and everyone's confused. And I think that's where a lot of governments around the world are keeping Bitcoin. They're not wanting to make it legal, and they also don't want to make it illegal because it opens up a lot of problems like all those different tokens for loyalty programs. All those different programs like that would have to be shut down and canceled. There's a lot of things that operate as pseudo-currencies as well that would have to be closed down. So there's a fine line there that I don't know a lot of governments that want to go down, and it's almost better to leave it in this realm and wait to see what happens and then pull the trigger. So I think that's what you'll end up seeing with a lot of these big countries. Merrill Lynch bans clients, advisors from trading Bitcoin-related investments. And I think a lot of that is because of things like this Grayscale Bitcoin Investment Trust, I don't think a lot of people in the financial industry, and I don't think any Bitcoiners out there really believe that investment trust is the same thing as owning Bitcoin and the price action on that as well. So I think those types of things, until they get clarified, where let's say if you were to buy an ETF, you'd actually own or have some sort of holding of a Bitcoin, but it goes against a lot of what BTC is about. So I really don't see a lot of people enjoying that. So Bitcoin rises after report says early Facebook investor Peter Thiel is buying a massive amount. I read something about this yesterday as well, and we're talking like he's pretty much backing up the truck and putting in a couple $100 million of this founders fund, which, as far as I was reading yesterday, also mentioned that they really haven't made any big investments. And this fund was put together over the last few years by a bunch of billionaires and rich folks out of Silicon Valley and around the world from the tech industry, but it hasn't really gone ahead and made any big moves. This was one of the very first big moves that it's taken. See, the next one is Ripple's co-founder is one of the richest people in the world on paper now because of this meteoric rise. I think I heard it on Jimmy Song's podcast, or his video channel. He was saying I think it was $100 billion in value that the guy is worth now. Here it says 37.3. Either way, this is crazy. So it's pretty amazing to see what's happening. And the worst is it just creates more FOMO and more people jumping in thinking this is the next big one to go to, because it'll go to the same price that Bitcoin did. So again, Ripple took off yesterday. Here's the top 10. The changing top 10. So Bitcoin, Ripple, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, Cardano, Neem. Fantastic moves on that one. Stellar, Tron, Litecoin, IOTA, Dash, EOS, Neo. Let's get into the charts. So we're looking at the 1 hour Bitcoin. So as we see here, we had our breakout above resistance, and then we double tapped at, what was it, 15,400, and sold off since that point and are starting to recover. So we need to make back a little bit of work here and get over this 15,400 if we want to see something positive. Just to go back to my video a few days ago where I had mentioned that we wanted to break through this resistance and really make a strong effort up and through this resistance line around 14,800. And we did that, which was great. This retest of the line and rejection is not positive at all. So be very careful at these points. We're not out of the woods yet. So make sure you're looking at your other related coins. Let's look at some of the altcoins here. Ethereum has just been doing fantastic. So there was that sell-off we talked about, continued to bounce around this resistance line. And again, that's why I draw these resistance lines. They're not always valuable, and there's no guarantee behind the resistance lines, but fundamentally they're drawn on high volume moments where people are turning around or rejecting certain price action. So here we see a lot of people bouncing up and down right off of here and then breaking up into this new section of resistance. So you could wait until this resistance is broken and then join the party again. And I think Ethereum is staying on this upward trend and will continue to do quite well as this fork is coming up in mid-January here. Let's see what's next. Let's jump to Bitcoin Cash. I think I lost my details here on Bitcoin Cash. So I'll redraw this later. But basically I can see we dropped below what would have been a stop limit on this one. It seems to be recovering now, but it's going to have a lot of work to do before I consider this one again at this point. So we'll probably see a lot of sideways action here. I'm going to leave this guy alone for a bit. Let's jump to Dash. Dash 2 had its fall apart. It made an attempt to recover. What's interesting too is you can see it almost fired off to this resistance line and then fell apart again. Right now it's making again another effort off of what was this bottom end resistance line, almost to the T. So we'll see. Otherwise we're going to see a nice fall apart here as well. I'm going to jump to IOTA. Another good example, as the fall apart happened, it hasn't been able to recover. It's continuing to see these strong sell-offs. So at this point, it doesn't look good. It does not bode well for IOTA at this point. Let's jump to Litecoin. And again, another altcoin here, seeing, bad news as soon as it broke through this resistance line. It made a few attempts to kind of jump back up into that range and was thoroughly rejected. Seeing a lot of big red candles. So again, we'll see what happens. It looks like everyone's trying to make an attempt today, but so far it doesn't look too positive. But again, try to keep track of what BTC is doing. So keep track and see if we see a fall apart in BTC today over the next few hours, then you're probably going to see a pickup on, coins like Litecoin. Next, our good friend Neo has returned to the party, recovered what it had lost. We joined the party back again at 0.0062 approximately, and we're watching it rise further and further. So I'm still very bullish on Neo and Ethereum. Monero broke through this resistance line on that correction that we had the other day. Still very negative. So at this point, we did see again a bounce or close bounce off of this resistance line. If it rejects this line, then this one's done. XRP, I'm getting lots of questions about this one and whether it's still good to invest. I'm going to tell everybody what I learned over the last few months with Bitcoin is to watch your prior highs, set those as your entry points. So in my mind, once we fell apart at this point, I was out. And this became scary because if things fell apart here, we'd probably see a return down to this support level. It did its usual sideways consolidation, started to pick up. So it depends on how risky you are, or what your risk level in. You may have gone in at some of these levels based on these Fibonacci's. Your best bet would have been probably somewhere around 18,700. If you're ultra conservative, then probably around 19,500. So once it made all of this work to come back, means that you can no longer fight the momentum. The momentum is there, so there's no point in fighting it. And Bitcoin is a great example of that kind of a coin. So following that model, anything that works its way back up and breaks through those recent highs, most of the time this works for all-time highs. For coins like this, most recent highs will work as well. And then we're pretty much long from this point on, using this as well as a bit of a stop loss. Hoping that in this case, you can see we did make a little bit of resistance at 19,723 as we bounced up and have continued upward. Again, no guarantee because there's so much of this crap that, the floor could drop out at any time. But there's a lot of buying coming out from South Korea, Japan, and all over the world. So I'm not about to fight this trend. I don't believe in this coin at all. I don't think it'll exist in 2 to 5 years, or at least not in any capacity that we know about it. But nonetheless, I'm here to profit and make money, and I'm sure you are as well. So keep that in mind, and let's make some more money with our good friend Ripple. Last one that I just am so happy about, another 4x, 5x for the team here. Neem blew up. So here's our chart. So we got in around 3,185. A more conservative entry would have been 3,860. Yesterday we peaked at almost 14,000, which is just amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing. So at this point, 4 to 5x, depending on where you went here, but realistically, just in the last few hours, 12 hours, did we see the most dramatic upswing. But you can see as soon as we broke through some of these levels, we really shot up. So at this point, we're consolidating. So hope to see a little bit of consolidation, a little bit of a floor put together here, and then some continued work higher. But fantastic work on Neem. Hopefully anybody else who saw the opportunity, looked at the levels, took advantage and won on this one as well. And I think that's it for today, guys. Excited to keep watching Bitcoin here. Trying to see what happens in the next little while, but we need to continue to do the work to make our way up, and we really do need to make our way through this 15,350 to 15,400 level approximately. We have to get through that with some conviction. So hopefully we'll see that happen today, and we'll continue this party. Otherwise, keep track of Ethereum, which is skyrocketing again. Keep track of NEO, which I expect to follow that trajectory. And disappointingly, but I think we'll probably see some more action out of Ripple. So have a great day, everybody. Send me any of your questions via Twitter at Bitcoin Sage. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Visit the website, bitcoinsage.com. And feel free to send any comments on the YouTube videos, any other coins you want me to cover. I'll start adding a few extra coins every week, and they'll include those charts and some commentary. Have a great day, everyone, and let's make some money.